Right now, somewhere in your house, your phone is sitting face up. You keep glancing at it. Not because you're waiting for anything important, you're waiting to feel less alone. That instinct feels modern. It isn't. It's ancient and it's older than you think. And the real answer is far stranger than a bad habit. Your body is running a program that was written millions of years ago. Back then, being alone didn't just feel bad. It meant you were about to die. Separation from the group meant no one to watch for predators, no one to share food during a bad season, no one to help if you got hurt. So your ancestors evolved a warning system, a feeling. You call it loneliness. They just called it fear. In the 1950s, a psychologist named Harry Harlow wanted to test something nobody had dared test before. What actually happens to a mind when it's cut off from connection? He took infant rhesus monkeys and separated them from their mothers. He gave them two fake mothers instead. One was made of bare wire but held a bottle of milk. The other was covered in soft cloth but offered no food at all. Logic said the babies would cling to the one with food. That's survival, right? Wrong. The baby monkeys clung to the soft cloth mother for almost every hour of the day. They only left to feed, then rushed straight back to the warmth. Contact mattered more than calories. Sit with that for a second. Connection wasn't a bonus feature bolted onto survival. It was survival. Harlow pushed further, and this is where it gets darker. He placed some infant monkeys in total isolation. No mother, no cloth, no contact of any kind. Within days, something in them broke. They rocked back and forth. They stopped exploring. Some stopped eating entirely. When they were finally reintroduced to other monkeys, many couldn't function socially at all. Isolation hadn't just made them sad, it had rewired what they were. You're not a monkey in a cage, but your nervous system doesn't know that. It's running the same ancient code. Fast forward to the 1970s and 80s, and a researcher named John Cacioppo decided to ask a bigger question. If isolation could break a monkey, what was chronic loneliness doing to modern humans, quietly, over decades? Cacioppo spent much of his career studying loneliness not as an emotion, but as a biological state. What he found should have made headlines everywhere. Chronic loneliness raises cortisol, the stress hormone. It disrupts sleep. It weakens the immune system's ability to fight off viral infection. It even changes gene expression in white blood cells, tilting your body toward chronic inflammation. Your immune system, built over millions of years to expect other people nearby, starts behaving as if it's under attack when it doesn't get them. Why would your body do that? Because for most of human history, being alone meant no backup. No help if you got wounded. So your ancestors' bodies preloaded a defense response the moment isolation set in, ready for injury, ready for infection, ready for a wound that today never comes. But here's the twist that turns this from strange biology into something urgent. In 2010, a researcher named Julian Holt-Lundstad led a massive analysis combining data from over 300,000 people across dozens of long-term studies. She wanted to know exactly how much loneliness shortens a human life. The answer stunned even the researchers running it. Chronic loneliness and social isolation predicted early death, with a strength comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, comparable to obesity, comparable to physical inactivity. Loneliness wasn't just an uncomfortable feeling anymore. It was a measurable, quantifiable mortality risk, sitting right alongside the health dangers doctors have warned you about for decades. Think about that. Nobody puts a warning label on isolation. There's no public health campaign that says social disconnection may be hazardous to your health, even though the data says exactly that. So why does modern life feel so isolating when we're more digitally connected than any humans in history? Here's the reframe. Your brain doesn't register digital contact the same way it registers physical presence. A text message doesn't trigger the same oxytocin release as a hug. A like on a photo doesn't calm your nervous system the way sitting across a table from someone does. Your ancestors lived in groups of maybe 50 to 150 people, all of whom they saw, touched, and depended on daily. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar's research suggests this number, now known as Dunbar's number, reflects a hard cognitive limit on how many real relationships a human brain can meaningfully track. You now have hundreds, sometimes thousands of digital contacts, but your brain still expects the ancient version. That's why small, you can be surrounded by notifications and still feel that old ancestral alarm bell ringing quietly in the background. It's not weakness, it's not a personal failure. It's your evolutionary hardware doing exactly what it was built to do in an environment it was never built for. Here's where it gets even stranger. Loneliness doesn't just feel like danger. It makes your brain perceive more danger everywhere else too. Studies following Cacioppo's work found that lonely people show heightened activity in brain regions associated with threat detection, and they're more likely to interpret neutral social cues, a flat text message, an unanswered call, as rejection. The ancient system isn't just warning you that you're alone. It's actively scanning the world for evidence that confirms the danger, whether that evidence is real or not. So when you check your phone for the 5th time in 10 minutes, you're not weak, and you're not addicted in the way people casually use that word. You're a hunter-gatherer's nervous system, wired for constant tribal contact, trying to solve an ancient problem with modern tools that were never designed to fully answer it. What can actually calm that ancient alarm? Not more notifications. Real, physical, repeated contact. Eye contact triggers it. Shared meals trigger it. Physical touch, even something as small as a hand on a shoulder, triggers a measurable drop in cortisol within minutes. Your body still runs on the old rules, even while you live in a world your ancestors couldn't have imagined. There's a reason this ancient alarm is so hard to argue with. It doesn't run through the part of your brain that reasons and plans. It runs through older, faster circuitry, the same circuitry that once made a rustle in tall grass feel like a lion before you'd even consciously registered the sound. You cannot logic your way out of loneliness any more than your ancestors could logic their way out of fear in the dark. The feeling arrives first. The explanation comes later, if it comes at all. This is why isolation during illness or hardship can feel so much heavier than the practical problem itself. Losing a job is stressful. Losing a job while feeling like no one would notice if you disappeared for a week is a different kind of stress entirely, the kind your body treats as an emergency. Researchers studying grief and bereavement have found something similar. People who lose a spouse and remain socially isolated afterward show significantly worse health outcomes than those who lose a spouse but stay embedded in a supportive community. The loss is the same. The isolation is what makes it dangerous. Consider what this meant for your ancestors in practical terms. A wounded hunter separated from the group wasn't just sad. He was exposed. No one to help him back to camp. No one to keep watch while he slept. No one to share meat while he healed. Death by isolation wasn't metaphorical. It was often literal and swift. The humans who survived long enough to become your ancestors were, overwhelmingly, the ones whose bodies treated separation as a 5-alarm emergency, because the ones who felt calm and unbothered by isolation simply didn't make it as often. That's the uncomfortable truth hiding inside all of this. You are descended from the most socially anxious version of your species, not the bravest loners, not the toughest individualists, the ones who couldn't stand being cut off, who fought to stay close to the group, who felt that ancient alarm so intensely they'd do almost anything to make it stop. Now look at how the modern world is built. Apartment buildings where you can live for years without learning your neighbor's name, jobs that can be done entirely from a bedroom with a screen as your only colleague, entire friendships maintained through typed messages with long silences that mean nothing but feel like everything. None of this existed for more than a few decades out of a few million years. Your environment changed at the speed of software updates. Your nervous system did not. This mismatch has a name among researchers who study it: evolutionary mismatch, the idea that a trait perfectly suited to one environment can become a liability in a different one. Sugar cravings once kept your ancestors alive during scarcity and now contribute to modern disease in a world of abundance. The same pattern applies here. The craving for closeness once kept your ancestors alive during a dangerous, sparsely populated world. In a world of billions of humans and endless ways to appear connected without actually connecting, that same craving can leave you feeling starved. With a phrase that sticks once you hear it. He described loneliness as being to social health what physical pain is to physical health. an unpleasant signal that exists purely to make you act. Pain tells you to pull your hand off a hot stove. Loneliness tells you to reach toward other people. Ignore physical pain long enough and the damage compounds. Ignore loneliness long enough and the damage compounds too. Quietly, in your cardiovascular system, in your immune response, in the slow wearing down of a body that was built to expect company and keeps waking up without it. There's a reason humans have survived every ice age, every famine, every predator that once hunted them in open grassland. It was never brute strength. It was connection. Groups that stayed close, shared food, and cared for the sick and wounded outlasted groups that didn't. That instinct to seek closeness isn't a flaw in you. It's the exact same trait that got your entire species this far. So the next time you feel that quiet, nagging pull to check your phone, to text someone, to simply not be alone in a room, don't dismiss it as a bad habit. Recognize it for what it actually is. A signal, millions of years old, still faithfully doing its job, still trying to keep you alive the only way it knows how. Right now, somewhere in your house, your phone is sitting face up. You keep glancing at it. But maybe, for the first time, you understand exactly why. It was never really about the phone at all.